Yeah, morning, guys. Great show as always.
Thank you, George.
It is. It is a case of good riddance to Lukaku. It is a case of that. You know, they always say you should never go back, you know, with an ex and stuff like that. And I think this is a clear case of that. You know, there was one game he had 7 touches. His whole attitude, that interview, everything. You know, he didn't want to be there, and he's going. And I do like what Bowie's doing at Chelsea. I like what he's doing. He's changing it. Buck's gone. Marina's gone, which I'm quite sad about because I think she's absolutely brilliant. But it needs change. And I like what he's doing by giving Tuchel a lot more power. He's going to have a lot more power. He will choose the players he wants. He'll choose the team. And that's what we need. And you're going to see a different Chelsea now. You're going to see a whole different Chelsea. They haven't spent billions and billions of pounds to take us south. You know, they're not stupid.
Well done, George. You're what we need, mate. I like you. Thank you so much, George. A regular caller, of course. Here's another. Vernon, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, boys. Yeah, not too bad.
Morning, Vernon. So what, is it good riddance to Lukaku?
No, that's not the right way. I don't think that's the right way to say it, Jim. I think there's been a hell of a lot of, you just read that list. I mean, if you go further back another 10 or 20 strikers at Chelsea, it's like a who's who of world-class strikers who seem to pull the Chelsea number 9 shirt on and their legs go to jelly. I'm thinking of Shevchenko, Crespo, Morata, Mutu. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, Jim. And the only 2 strikers that I can remember that have been wonderfully successful are Costa and Drogba. But it's just I think why it's such a disappointment, Lukaku, is he's had 2 goes, not 1 go.
Yes,
and when he first came over as a kid, I don't know if you remember, but there was pictures of his bedroom with all Chelsea posters up, because he's literally a lifelong Chelsea fan when he was a boy. Like, he was obsessed with Chelsea. And when he came over, and he was quite sought after by all the clubs from Belgium. Yeah. And he let's face it, he was a flop. And he got bombed out the door by Mourinho, and then he went and made his way in all various other clubs. And he did, you know, with varying degrees of success. I don't think he was doing wonderfully. I don't think he's fulfilled his potential.
Vernon, just before you go, do you think he's still got it all to do back at Inter? Because there's an interesting one from Giuseppe this morning, who is an absolutely passionate Inter Milan fan. He says he hasn't been forgotten about because of the way he left Inter Milan. He left in a hurry. The ultras haven't forgiven him. He's got a lot to do when he comes back because his credit in the bank is very low. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think it's going to be it's going to be hard for him. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than he thinks. But I think Simon hit the nail on the head. I think the die is cast. I think it's going to be almost impossible for him to come back to Chelsea now, no matter what. But I think even going ahead at Inter, it's not going to be easy for him. But I wouldn't say it's good riddance, but I would say it's definitely for the best all round.
Fair enough, Vernon. Fair enough. We'll get Simon and Trevor just to round this off as we head to the 10:30 bulletin. But Tony, I'm going to squeeze you in. Another Chelsea fan. Tony, good morning.
Morning. Just a quickie. I don't think the problem's Lukaku, although he's not very good. I think the problem is the new owners. They are going to get rid of the lady who does all the transfers. They've got rid of the chairman. They're sweeping the boards clean at Chelsea. I was in management for 40 years, and what you don't do when you take over an organisation is get rid of all the history and all the experience. You have to keep some of it, and at a point in time, 6, 9 months, 12 months down the line, you say to these guys, thanks very much, I've picked up all your knowledge, now move on. But
Tony, Bowley remains available. Sorry, I beg your pardon, Granit Xhaka remains available to Todd Bowley.
No, not according to the Daily Mail this morning. She's going.
No, but according to the statement, the club's statement from Chelsea this morning says Chelsea and Granit Xhaka have agreed that she will remain available to Todd Bowley in the club for the duration of the current transfer window. You've got to stop reading the Mail, I think, Tony.
Well, you might well be right there. I read that this morning and I thought that's a big mistake.
All right, Tony, listen, thanks for the call. Simon, where do you stand on that?
You also have to remember that there may be some government restrictions about who was associated with Roman Abramovich and who wasn't, and who they don't want sitting in a football club, given the ownership model that they terminated. So you do have to remember that these guys are inextricably indexed to Roman Abramovich. Roman Abramovich has been sanctioned to such a level he's had to sell Chelsea. That was his management team. There may be some obligations upon Chelsea to clear that board up. Yeah. And you do clean decks. When you come into a business, you have a look, and then you clean decks. And if you don't need clean decks, you retain what's there, what's worth keeping. I'm not sure Bruce Buck, you don't keep... If you're the new owner of a business, you don't keep the old chairman. I mean, you're the chairman. You come in and run the business. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I understand his point of view that you keep the intellectual capital around until you've exhausted the intellectual capital. But there's a new sheriff in town with a new set of ideals and aspirations. The Roman Abramovich of splattergun cash firing left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
It's probably changing a little bit.
Yeah. Trevor, I'll get your take on it the other side of the upcoming bulletin. It's interesting, Simon. It was Todd Bowley who came in. And of course, now Bruce Buck disappears, but it was Bruce Buck who chose, or was part of the team that chose Todd Bowley and his people to take over. So
but they would have known that anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reasonable assumption for Bruce Buck to believe that he was going to continue in situ. He's a lawyer. He's a big boy. He understands how the world works.
Yeah.
And he's had his 19 years. He had a good run on Abramovich's money.
Yeah, not many Chelsea fans with much sympathy for Romelu Lukaku as he heads off out to Italy this morning. There's one no name in it. Lukaku, he couldn't trap a bag of cement.
By the way,
worst touch in football.
By the way, they're also wrong because Lukaku didn't want to leave Inter Milan. He was forced to leave Inter Milan because they needed to sell. And the reason why Conte left Inter Milan was because Inter Milan's ownership model said we've got to recover the losses from COVID, so we've got to recover money.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to suggest that Lukaku was sprinting out of a door like a quick thing from Quickland. He was sold to bring up some finances.
He didn't help himself with the interview.
No, the interview's crap. But the idea that the person turned around and said that he left Inter Milan in a hurry isn't absolutely right.
The bottom line is he said arrivederci and he's heading back to Italy. It's 10:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.